Most games follow the trends. They copy what's popular, tweak a few things, slap a new coat of paint on it, and ship it. Every once in a while, and I mean very rarely, a game shows up that nobody knows what to do with. Critics are confused, players don't have words for it, and years later the entire industry is copying it. These are those games, 5 titles from between the 2000s and 2015 that didn't just push the envelope, they mailed it to the future. Let's get into it. Before we get started, like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, let's start with one that sounds simple on paper. You have a gun, but instead of it shooting bullets, you shoot doors. That's Portal, and somehow Valve turned that into one of the most mind-bending games ever. When Portal dropped in 2007 as part of the Orange Box, most people almost skipped it. It was bundled with Half-Life 2 and Team Fortress 2, two massive games, and Portal was just the little bonus thing, 2-3 hours long, low budget, no traditional combat, just puzzles. But here's what made it revolutionary. Portal didn't just use the mechanic as a gimmick, it built an entire world around it. The physics, the humor, the story, GLaDOS. One of the greatest antagonists in gaming history is delivered almost entirely through environmental storytelling and monologue. There's no cutscenes, there's barely a script in the traditional sense, and yet you feel more connected to that story than most 40-hour RPGs. What Portal figured out before almost anyone else is that game mechanics can tell a story. The portal gun isn't just how you solve puzzles, it's a metaphor for manipulation, control, and escape. You're literally reshaping your environment to break free. Every puzzle narrative game that came after, the Talos, Principle, The Witness, even more elements of Outer Wilds, owes something to Portal. Now this one is criminally underrated in the ahead of its time conversation. Left 4 Dead 2. It came out in 2009, 1 year after the original, and people were annoyed at first. They were saying it was just a DLC. They were wrong. Left 4 Dead 2 perfected something that took the rest of the industry over a decade to figure out. Co-op as the actual game design. Not co-op as a tacked-on mode, not bring a friend and play the campaign. Every single mechanic in Left 4 Dead 2 is built from the ground up, around 4 people surviving together and falling apart together. The real genius is the AI director. This system dynamically adjusts enemy spawns, pacing, item drops, and tension based on how your team is performing in real time. Doing well, it ramps up, now you're struggling. It gives you a little breathing room, no 2 runs feel the same. In 2009, that was basically witchcraft. And then there's the special infected, the charger, the spitter, and the jockey. Each one is designed to punish bad team coordination. You have to communicate or you will die. This was an asymmetric design before asymmetric multiplayer was even a term people used casually. Games like Back 4 Blood, Darktide, Deep Rock Galactic, they all trace a direct line back to what Left 4 Dead 2 built. Not to mention single-player games like Dying Light creating also special infected. And honestly, most of them still haven't quite matched it. 15 years later, people are still booting up Left 4 Dead 2, and that tells you everything about this game. Okay, Spore is a complicated one, and I think that's exactly why it belongs on this list. When Will Wright, the guy behind The Sims and SimCity, revealed Spore at E3 2005, the game world lost its mind. You could evolve a creature from a single cell all the way to a spacefaring civilization. The procedural animation system meant your creature evolved and acted based on what you built. Every creature was unique, every planet was different, it felt like the future of gaming. And then it came out in 2008 and people were mixed. The gameplay in each stage was seen as too shallow. Critics said it was a bunch of mini games stitched together, and they weren't wrong. But here's the thing, Spore wasn't ahead of its time because it was a perfect game. It was ahead of its time because of what it was trying to be. Procedural generation as a core design pillar. That's Minecraft, No Man's Sky, and Dwarf Fortress. User-generated content shared across a global community seamlessly. That's basically what every live service game tries to do now. A game that lets you feel the passage of evolution and civilization as gameplay. Nobody has fully cracked that since. Spore was a vision that was too ambitious for 2008's technology, and honestly, maybe for today's too, but the DNA of what it attempted is everywhere in modern gaming. It dreamed bigger than it could have delivered, and sometimes that matters just as much. Game number 4, Shadow of the Colossus in 2005. I wanted you to imagine pitching this game to a publisher today. So there are no regular enemies, no towns, no NPCs to talk to. The entire game is 16 boss fights in an empty world. Oh, and the main character might be the villain as well. Spoiler. Yeah, good luck with that meeting. Shadow of the Colossus came out in 2005 on the PS2, a console that was already being outpaced by newer hardware, and it completely redefined what a game could feel like. Team Ico didn't fill the world with content, they filled it with emptiness, and that emptiness was kind of the point of the story. Every Colossus is a puzzle, a platforming challenge, and honestly, an emotional gut punch rolled into one. You spent minutes figuring out how to even hurt one of these things, and when you finally bring one down, the music shifts, the creature falls, and you don't feel like a hero, you feel like you just did something wrong. That moral ambiguity, that minimalist storytelling, that willingness to make the player question their own actions, that's The Last of Us, that's Spec Ops, that's The Line, that's every prestige game that's asked the game made you feel bad for playing it. Shadow of the Colossus was doing environmental storytelling and emotional game design before those were buzzwords in game dev circles. It's a masterpiece that the industry is still catching up to. Game number 5, no surprise, is Minecraft. I know what you're thinking, Minecraft ahead of its time. Everyone knows Minecraft, and yeah, now they do, but let's go back to 2009. Notch released this janky, blocky, barely explained survival game in alpha on a forum. It was barely unplayable. No tutorial, no objective, no end goal. You just exist. You punch trees, you survive the night, you build the graphics look like a fever dream from 1998, and somehow, someway, it became the best-selling video game in human history. Why? Because Minecraft understood something about players that the industry had been ignoring. People don't always want to be told what to do. Sometimes they want a canvas. The crafting system, the survival loop, the creative mode. Minecraft invented the modern sandbox genre as we know it. Before Minecraft sandbox meant GTA. After Minecraft it meant infinite possibilities now. Terraria, Valheim, Subnautica, Rust, DayZ. Because Minecraft proved players will invest thousands of hours into a game with no story if the systems are deep enough. And the Redstone system, essentially an in-game computer logic system, produced a community of people building working CPUs, functional calculators, and entire operating systems inside of a video game. In 2011, that's not a game feature, that's a platform. Minecraft didn't just predict the future of gaming, it became the future of gaming. So there you have it, 5 games that saw something the rest of the industry didn't. Portal figured out narrative design through mechanics, Left 4 Dead 2 mastered co-op before co-op was cool, Spore dreamed too big and inspired everyone anyway, Shadow of the Colossus made emptiness meaningful, and Minecraft handed players a blank page and let them write whatever they wanted on it. The crazy part, we're still playing all of these. Some of them are older than some of you watching this, and they're still relevant, still being referenced, and still being copied. That's what it means to be ahead of your time. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe, and comment. What game do you think was ahead of its time? If you like this one and it gets popularity, I will definitely do a second part because there's a lot more games to talk about that were ahead of its time. Anyway, have a nice one.